My caring role began at the age of about 11 when my dad started to show signs of dementia, and at this point it started as relatively small tasks like cleaning his flat and reminding him to pay bills, but it was also emotional support as well and trying to persuade him to visit a doctor, which was probably the hardest part of my role. Shortly after I turned 12, my dad fell and broke his shoulder, and although this got us a diagnosis, so it was good in a sense, my caring role and responsibility increased massively. So despite the fact that carers were sent in midday while I was at school, a typical day for me still included going up after school, paying bills, shopping, cleaning, and keeping on top of personal hygiene for my dad. And it was quite physically and mentally draining at the time. But it wasn't all about the physical care as well. I'd be there to kind of cheer my dad up because it wasn't nice for him to lose the ability to do things that he'd always been able to do for himself, and it wasn't nice for me to watch either. And I was also there to attend hospital appointments with my dad once we had a diagnosis, and also help find a care home when the time for that came. But I'd like to emphasise the fact that I've never regarded myself as a young carer, and it's always been quite a natural thing to do because it was my dad and I didn't want to see him unhappy. And it was also a way of keeping myself well informed. Because of my age, I felt that if I wasn't involved as much, information would be kept from me. So I feel I was lucky in a way really, because I never got behind at school. I just seemed to manage at the time. But I still had a few problems with absence and things. Not entirely because of the caring role, but because of the emotional effect it had on me and the way it was affecting me personally. And I think it also affected me because I chose to stop things that I enjoyed, like my dance lessons, as I felt my time could be better spent elsewhere. However, I think some of the effects it had on me were the positive ones, and the fact that I grew up really quite quickly and learnt to prioritise, which I find has helped me, especially now I'm getting older and it's not such a big shock. And it was just before my dad moved into the Four Seasons care home that I was referred to Bernardo's by his social worker. And at first I was quite reluctant to allow myself to be referred because I never thought of myself as a young carer, as I said. But one of the things that Bernardo's did make me realise was the fact that just a small amount of caring still makes a difference, because it's not things that other people my age were doing. So it was nice to know that I wasn't on my own as well. And I think, they also made me feel better about the fact that he was in a home, because I was still the one making the decisions. So I was still a carer. And they also allowed me to meet other young people with whom I'm still in touch with, and organise trips out for us to let our hair down in a while. And they also encouraged me to go back to dancing and find funding for that. And they put me in touch with the local youth theatre, with whom I'm still in touch with and very much involved. So my involvement with Bernardo's has benefited me quite a lot. And not only have I met some friends for life, but I know now that I've had a service that I've been able to gain support and advice from right throughout my times being a carer and afterwards as well. And it's opened so many doors for me. And I'd just like to finish by sharing something my mum said, which was, you wouldn't be half the person you were today if it wasn't for Bernardo's involvement.